What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Stephen Wright. I am joined by Mr. William Monroe. How you doing, man?
Steve, doing well over here. Just got back from the beach. So, trying to get in the swing of things back on a Monday afternoon now. But getting through that first Monday after a beach vacation is always a rough one.
Yeah, that is not easy. It's actually a holiday up here in the north.
Oh, yeah?
Just civic holiday. I don't know what that means, but that's what it is. So a lot of yard work for me today. A lot of time outside.
There you go.
Yeah, which isn't bad. It was nice out.
Got your workout in for the day, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were just talking before the show, recapping any news that's happened here in the past week. And I guess the biggest thing on top of everyone's, well, I guess it's not on top of everyone's mind because a lot of people haven't put him as being super relevant for fantasy this year, but Carson Wentz being down for quite a length of time, right? What was it? Anywhere between like 5 weeks and 12 or something?
5 to 12 weeks, which 5 weeks would put him right at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah, so it's basically
12
miss a game or miss half the season.
2 months. Yeah.
It's a big difference.
So, yeah, anywhere from 0 to 8 games, it sounds like. It's a lot of implications. I mean, obviously, Carson Wentz himself, wish him all the best, but he hasn't been the most healthy of his career, so obviously not a good sign to come up with an injury early in camp. You also look at it from the other positional players there. Jonathan Taylor, the other running backs, T.Y. Hilton, receivers, tight ends. I mean, it's got to be a really a negative across the board for all of them, right?
Yeah, you would think JT is going to get more stacked boxes. The passing game is going to suffer. I mean, maybe you say you bring in a backup that checks down more and you get more, passes to the running back that way, and maybe things even out a little bit. And that's the only real narrative I can make. I don't know.
Phillip Rivers come back.
Yeah, maybe you try to get Rivers out, for one more year. I did see a quick rumor about Foles, which would be hilarious.
I did see that one. Yeah, especially because it's the same offensive coordinator from the Super Bowl, and then
Wentz, the
Foles
injury.
wins.
Yeah,
oh man.
Yeah, so I've seen that.
I did see people saying they should go after Garoppolo. Probably, I can't see them going after a guy of his caliber though. Just because of everything you already just traded for Wentz, can you really sink that much more into a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, if Wentz does miss, the 12 weeks, the first that they paid, that Indy paid to Philly to get him would change to a second, most likely. I think he had to get 70 or 75% snaps. So
70, 75. I think I saw someone did the math that you have to play basically, and obviously it varies depending on how many snaps from each game, but it'd be an 11.9 game.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, missing a minimum of 5 weeks.
Yeah. So
to be able to do that,
you would be, I guess I pointed, like if he's missing 12 and you want Jimmy G, you're going to lose a second. And I mean, I don't know what the 49ers are going to give up Jimmy G for. I mean, when you got a team in a bad spot like Indy, they're going to have to pay up to some degree. I mean, if you're going to twist their arm a little bit. So
you're probably looking at like a 23 pick because
that's what I'm like.
I don't even know if the league would let them trade the pick since they technically don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because
you
feasibly, Carson's out for a while, but if he turns around and makes a miracle recovery and plays every single game, and you've traded your first round pick to the Niners as well as the Eagles, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, and if not, like I don't, say the price isn't that much because I'm sure there's plenty of people I don't think Jimmy G's worth that much. Like, are you going to lose a second for Wentz and then give up a third in the same draft for Jimmy G? Give a second, third for two different quarterbacks?
Seems unlikely.
Yeah, or give up 2 seconds in back-to-back years or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, quarterbacks don't get traded that often, so I don't know if it's actually going to happen.
No.
I would be more likely to think it'd be a Foles or maybe Rivers coming out of retirement. Or maybe they just stick with Eason. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, until you make a move, that's what the team speak has to be. But I've seen people, the news coming out that like the team's like, Eason, this is your ship here, like all gung ho behind him. So, until something happens, obviously that's what they have to do and say. But it seems like they're gonna give him a shot. I don't think he played any snaps last year. He's only in his second year, but they're all in for him.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, you'd think that they have to bring in a backup though, right? Even if if it's just a moderate backup, you got to bring somebody in.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Just a camp body,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know who's out there in free agency that you can get.
Yeah, there's got to be some decent, just camp body type players.
Yeah,
or just veterans that are in and out of teams.
Yeah.
Who's the one that's been like Brian Hoyer type of guy? That's not you're not going to bring him in and rattle your starter, but he's a guy that can give you some snaps.
Yeah, like a Josh McCown type. Not that Hoyer's with the Patriots, McCown is with the Texans, so neither of them are real options. But that that caliber of player.
Until they are, right? I mean, with the Patriots, Hoyer's there. He's the third option right now, right? So maybe the Patriots or somebody else can cash in on one of their second or third string quarterbacks, and even if you're only getting fifth round pick, it's more than you probably would have gotten out of him with two quarterbacks ahead of him.
Trade for Stidham. I forget how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, even Stidham wouldn't be bad either.
Yeah,
especially with the young quarterback there. So interesting. A lot there. As you mentioned, to focus on future draft picks with the trade for Wentz himself, the rest of the team. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest impact is JT, right? Because everyone else was borderline draftable at all. Some of the running backs, I guess, but what does this do to him? I think he's been like mid to late first, somewhere in that like 6 to 9 or 10 range.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone I've been avoiding anyway. He just not that I don't like him for this year. I'm not sure if I like him as like a first round pick.
Too many red flags. Yeah, just overall with the team.
Yeah, I just see it like coming back down a little bit. Had a big breakout second half of the year, and then he's going to disappoint. And then year 3, he'll be valued in the second round, and he'll be worth the first then or something like that. You got that story where it kind of bounces back and forth. So I wasn't that interested in him, and I'm definitely not interested in him now.
A couple other things. Aaron Rodgers signed the deal. It's interesting. I heard someone talking about the way it works. Basically, it voided the 2023 year, so it's basically a 2-year contract that their anticipation is that he'll get traded, but there's a big cap hit for the next year for 22, so that if he gets traded, it highly incentivizes the team that he moves to restructure the deal to give him a longer contract. So it's interesting the way that they purposefully did that. I guess worst case you cut him, but you'd likely be able to trade him next year with the idea that he's just going to renegotiate the deal with the new team, but have to do that. They can't just take him on a 1-year deal because it would just be a ridiculous hit.
Yeah, it's an interesting, contract situation that they drafted up there. I mean, maybe Indy's a destination, after next year with Wentz missing the whole season. You're not going to see what you get out of him. Maybe, who knows, but I mean, we'll see. I'm glad it's over with. You got Randall Cobb moving over there. I'm sure he'll bounce up into the bottom, the later rounds of the draft. So that's kind of interesting as well. But yeah, I'm glad to put that behind us right now.
What, so I pulled up like his just year-end numbers for here on Sleeper. The last time that he was a wide receiver 3 or better, and one of them was close, but let's say a top 30 wide receiver. Can you guess the year in PPR or standard?
It'd be a while ago, 2016, 2017. I feel like it's been a long time. 2015. Okay.
Yeah, so he was.
That might have been the year that Jordan was out too.
Yeah, so 2012 he was wide receiver 16, 65 and 14, 8 in 2014. 25 and 15, and then since then 50, 34, 83, 44, 75, all PPR scoring. So I feel like he is going to get a little pop just for getting signed and being back there, likely the wide receiver 2. I mean, do you have any interest in taking a shot on him later in the draft?
Probably not. I mean, probably not. If I go late, like if I go really heavy running back early, and maybe a tight end, and I'm not drafting wide receivers until like the real, like deeper middle rounds, then maybe as like a depth play instead of taking an upside shot. But outside of that, probably not. How about you?
Yeah, probably not. Like you said, if he's a late round flyer and you can, pick him up and see if he's going to be heavily involved the first week or two, then if he is, keep him, or maybe you can trade him high. But if he's, pretty much relevant, he can be an easy cut. Probably would look for another position, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I guess we'll see where he falls when we do this draft. We got a 12 team again lined up here. Will, you're drafting out of the 2, and I am in the 9 spot. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I think the only other thing just to touch on, I think we talked about it, Nick Chubb got a big extension.
Yeah, 3 years, right?
Yep, 3 years. He's going to be still there, and likely will be him and Kareem Hunt. So should be more of the same for both.
Yeah, no surprise. Key part of that offense. They got to lock them up, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, glad it's not going to the franchise situation.
Yeah, it's always a pain.
But yeah, you ready to go ahead and get this thing started?
Yeah, let's get it going.
Cool. So we will get this started. Again, Will is going to be drafting first here in the 2 spot. Looks like Dalvin Cook goes off the board first with the 101. So you're up, friend.
Yeah, well, I know sometimes we are caught for for time in our drafts here. I will not be contributing to that today. Fairly easy here. I was going to be taking Dalvin Cook, number 2, far and away, but with him gone, McCaffrey's a very easy one here for me. So lock him in, not look back. After him, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, and Nick Chubb.
Yeah, so taking a look here, well, obviously plenty of good options here. I'm actually wondering, Will, if I should do an early quarterback thing this time around. Because I don't think I've done an early quarterback draft this year. So maybe I could roll the dice and go for a stack and get Kelsey now, grab Mahomes with my next pick, assuming he gets there. That would put me in a really interesting position to have those 2 positions taken in the first 2 rounds, and then need to go the rest of the draft to take care of the running back and wide receiver positions. But
could take Davonte Adams here. First time you can be confident.
I know, really? Yeah, that would be tremendous. I mean, and Zeke also pretty good option here. I think that's probably what I'll do. I mean, as much as a Kelsey and Mahomes stack would be nice, that, starting off and with the tight end and the quarterback both in round 1 and 2 is just terrifying as far as what the rest of the draft is going to look like. I'm half tempted to do it just to see how things play out, but I'm quite concerned that it wouldn't look very good. So we will go ahead and do that. We'll do Davonte Adams here first and see if Mahomes gets to me, and we'll try a early quarterback kind of a deal here. And it does look like he'll get to me here. So Aaron Jones goes off the board. Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs. That rounds out the first. As our start the second, you got Metcalf, Hopkins, and Eckler.
Wow, Ezekiel Elliott's still on the board.
I know, that's
unreal.
That's really hard to pass up. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if this is a real draft, I'd be doing things a lot differently here. But it is not. So we'll play the game, see if we can build a team around a early quarterback strategy here. Again, first time I've done it this year, probably the last time I'm going to be doing it this year. So let's just get out of the way, see what it looks like, see if I can turn it into something I like. So we'll go ahead and lock him in. Najee Harris goes off the board at 205. That's I think a jump for him. And then finally Zeke at 206. Calvin Ridley, AJ Brown, Gibson, and Mixon. You're on the clock.
All right. So just Mahomes off the board and Kelsey at those 2 positions. Not looking quarterback, but Kittle is an interesting option here. Top of the board at receiver, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson. All guys definitely happy with all them, but I think Justin Jefferson would be the pick. If I do go receiver, at running back, J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Josh Jacobs. So still quite a few available there at the running back position. I haven't gotten much Justin Jefferson, I don't think, this offseason, but I think to me he's kind of the top play on the board here. And it gives me still the flexibility of going one of those running backs, as there's still quite a few left. Prefer probably Dobbins, but getting one of them and or the George Kittle if he's still there. Now, I don't know if this is a strategy you would think in a real draft. I would possibly think about going Kittle first because the team behind me has Dalvin Cook already, thinking maybe they don't want to do double down or in that offense. Is this something you'd be thinking, here if you wanted to try to, let's say, get Kittle and Justin Jefferson?
It's not a bad thought. I could see. I don't know. I mean, because it's Jefferson, there's a lot of hype around him. I'd be inclined to think somebody would be okay doing Cook and Jefferson, but it depends on the person. I mean, some people avoid stacks regardless. They don't want that exposure.
Yeah.
Plus, in Minnesota, you could easily make a case that Jefferson's due for some regression as they return to the run game more because the defense should be better and all that jazz. So, somebody could look to avoid them, or they're just on the hype train and wanting them. It's definitely a gamble. I don't mind it for the sake of the mock draft. I'm assuming he doesn't get to you, and they would get taken. But it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it is. And I know we've been kind of higher on taking those early tight ends, but kind of want to see what happens, waiting around. If Kittle's there, probably going to be the aim to then kind of have one at each of those positions to start. But I just don't think I could pass on Jefferson here. And then, worst case, be able to get just a second running back instead of Kittle. So we're lucky Justin Jefferson. After him, Michael Thomas and J.K. Dobbins, actually. So Michael Thomas probably not going to be going there unless we hear about some very quick recovery, but he does go off the board early here. So fairly easy for me. It's going to be George Kittle. Still got Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Swift at running back, who definitely are cause for a little bit of pause, but I this year have really been all about trying to get one of them top 3 tight ends, and Kittle is that guy that you're going to be looking at around the turn here. It just gives me a difference maker at each position, ideally with McCaffrey, Jefferson, and George Kittle to start. So Kittle it is. After him goes Waller right there, tight end back-to-back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, Mike Evans, and Keenan Allen to you.
Oh boy, yeah, this is an interesting spot. So no, I don't have any running backs yet. Davonte Adams and Mahomes on the roster. Taking a look at what we got Josh Jacobs, Chris Carson, David Montgomery, Darrell Henderson, ETN, Hunt. So some interesting options. I don't know who I feel safest with as my one. I really don't want to gamble, and I feel like I'd really like to add Josh Jacobs. Of all the names here, he seems to be the flashiest, but he's also, to me, the one that represents the most risk, given that they pulled in Drake. So I don't think I would go there. I feel like part of me feels like Carson's the safest, but then Montgomery's there as well. And, given how he looked at the end of the year, I feel like he represents potentially some safety and some upside, but I mean, his floor is also like a running back 2, like a mid-tier running back 2 that we've seen before. So it's a tough call. I do think I'll go with David Montgomery just because there's no one else there. I mean, Damian Williams is there now. He took a full year off for the COVID. He opted out, but there's nothing else. And I'd imagine, Dalton or Fields, whoever it is going to help him out a little bit more than Trubisky did. So I'm feeling kind of confident in him. I know I'm going to get to the end of this and look at this team and not have a lot of faith with him being my one. Part of me looks at Chris Carson, so you'd be happy with Chris Carson, but I think there's more upside with Montgomery with a similar kind of floor. So yeah, I guess I'll stick with Montgomery. Ideally, one of those also will get back to me, but given there's quite a few picks there, I'm not hopeful. And 2 teams don't have running backs, so I got a feeling our running backs are going to go. We'll see, but it would be nice. So I locked in Montgomery. Josh Jacobs went off the board right after. Not that bad, actually. So Julio went, Allen Robinson, that rounds out the 3rd. Chris Carson went at the top of the 4th, and then Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. So only 2 running backs go. the two that I wanted, unfortunately. I think I will go ahead and grab another one. So to extend the list, we're at Darrell Henderson, Travis Etienne, Kareem Hunt, Myles Gaskin, James Robinson, Javonte Williams. Again, all solid guys, not guys I'm super thrilled with as my two. I've been rising a little bit on Etienne. I just haven't really been able to pull the trigger on him at all. Like, I feel like he could have a good year, but I don't know if I want to roll the dice on him. Hunt, always solid. Myles Gaskin be really solid, but I think Darrell Henderson's probably the guy that I want. It's very worrisome given the injury history and him, me punting the running back to the third and fourth round. I don't want to take a gamble like that, but his upside is also sky high being with the Rams and having Stafford there. We know the running back's a valuable position there. He doesn't really have anyone else around him. So if he could stay healthy or healthy for a majority of the season, that's going to be a big win for me. If the injury history comes into play, then it's going to be a rocky road. But I mean, when you start off your draft with a quarterback early, a rocky road is kind of what you're dealing with. You need a perfect situation for things, to feel comfortable. I would need a Swift, a Sanders, an Edwards to fall to me. And it's asking for a lot for that to happen. So I'm just not going to find safety. We'll go ahead and lock him in here. I'm happy with it. I think there's upside with both Montgomery and Henderson, but it's definitely a worrisome combo. But I got my two running backs. McLaurin went off the board after me, then Etienne, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Lamar Jackson, and DJ Moore.
All right, so this is it's an interesting situation. I'm debating just with the way the running backs have been going off the board here, going with maybe more of a modified kind of zero RB approach. There's not too many outside of Kareem Hunt really that I'd be thrilled to take with here in that fourth, fifth round. I guess you could say Myles Gaskin, James Robinson, Davonte Williams, kind of the next ones available there, but not a ton that I love. So I almost want to see if I can just load up on some positions, the wide receiver position here, and have just a pretty stout receiver core with Kittle and McCaffrey, and then just be looking to kind of plug in that second running back spot. And doing that, we've got both receivers in LA, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Adam Thielen, Tyler Lockett. So quite a few there. I would prefer the Robert Woods and CeeDee Lamb, just a little bit of consistency with Woods, and then the glory shot with Robert Woods with CeeDee Lamb, with the hope that he could step into a wide receiver one, maybe the wide receiver one. Who knows about this year? Maybe a little bit of a pipe dream, but I do have high hopes for CD this year. Given that's the case, and Cooper Kupp is not a bad option as well. I'm going to lean with CeeDee Lamb here, and hoping that this team behind me does not go with back-to-back receivers on the same team. See if we can get one of them on the way out, and see what comes back in the sixth round. It's never not a great feeling going through the first 5 rounds here with just one running back. When it's McCaffrey, it's a little bit easier, but definitely a kind of experiment to kind of see what happens if you do wait that long to get that second running back and how does it feel. So we're going to go CeeDee Lamb here first. After him goes Mark Andrews and Tyler Lockett, actually. So going to be easy here. Going to go with the guy that I mentioned just before that I loaned, and we're going to lock up Robert Woods to have Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Robert Woods at the receiver position. Go with McCaffrey and Kittle and risk it and see what kind of running backs get back here. After Woods, Russell Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Adam Thielen, Myles Gaskin to you.
Yeah, part of the problem with my early quarterback strategy is it really eliminates, to me anyway, also drafting early tight end. Like, I'm glad Pitts and Andrews are going. Hawkinson's still there for me. I like Hawkinson, but it's hard to take up, 2 of your first 4 or 5 picks with a quarterback and a tight end. So it really pushes me toward that laid out strategy. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something now. Getting that tight end early, I feel like I have to get running back receiver. Um, Dak Prescott was definitely someone that I was thinking about, but just at this point, it's not something that I feel comfortable doing when I've got tight end on the team already.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at running backs, we still got Kareem Hunt there, James Robinson, Javonte Williams, Mike Davis, Melvin Gordon, Chase Edmonds. At the running back or wide receiver position, we got Kenny G, Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk, Deontay Johnson, Odell Beckham, Juju, T. Higgins, DJ Chark. So still got some solid wide receiver options. I don't think I could pass up Hunt here. I'm surprised he made it back to me, but that gives me a third running back kind of in this middle-ish tier, which isn't bad. It gives me another shot. And given I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of these wide receivers, I'm okay just taking whatever one is left over to me. Ideally, that would be Ayuk. It'd be really nice if Ayuk gets to me. And I don't think that's out of the question given that two of the teams behind me have gone somewhat wide receiver heavy here and are lacking when it comes to wide receiver or running back. So I think that's possible. So we'll play that game here. We'll lock in Kareem Hunt. Makes me feel better about the running back group, and we'll see who gets back to me. So there goes Hawkinson, Kenny Galladay, James Robinson. That rounds out the fifth. And I got burned. Wow. Devontae Smith, Deontay Johnson, and Brandon Ayuk. Team 11 over here, 6 rounds. They don't have any running backs.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty formidable team other than not having running
back. We'll see how that plays out, the rest of the way here. But running back or wide receivers, we got Odell Beckham, Juju, T. Higgins, DJ Chark, Cortland Sutton, Chase Claypool. Taking a look at this list here, I only got one right now. I got Davonte Adams. I really don't want OBJ. I'm really not interested in Juju. DJ Chark's not bad. Sutton, I'm cooling on a little bit with some of the stories coming out that he might, start off slow, but I'm looking specifically at T. Higgins and Chase Claypool. T. Higgins, I think, is probably the safer of the two. I think he's got a pretty firm role. He's got a good rapport with Burrow. Looked good last year. Obviously, he's got Jamar Chase, which I think caps his upside. Claypool, I think, is probably the opposite. He's probably got the higher upside, as he could really just take that wide receiver one role away. But I think his floor, as we saw last year, isn't very high because there are so many other options, and because Big Ben is hurt, or not hurt, but old. So I think I'm going to play it safe here. I'm going to grab T. Higgins. I don't really want to roll the dice. If I was closer to a turn, maybe I would roll the dice, grab Claypool. And, maybe, that I know Adebo is going to get back to me, or I know T. Higgins is going to get back to me, or something like that. But being I got to wait so long, I think I'm just going to play it safe and lock in Mr. T. Higgins here. I think it's the first time I've drafted him this year. There goes Dak right off the board after me. Justin Herbert, Chase Edmonds. There goes Beckham there. Mike Davis and Leonard Fournette. I know you were looking at Mike Davis there, so I'm sure you're sad that he went off the board, but you were on the clock.
Not even Mike Davis. I mean, he was one that I was interested in, but I was really hoping for Javonte Williams because I've got a little pairing here that I'm hoping to put together. And I was holding my breath there for Javonte Williams to get back, and he made it. So we'll see what happens with Team 1. But what I was hoping here was to be able to pair with Javonte Williams with Raheem Mostert, getting a younger running back that maybe takes a few weeks to figure it out and kind of get going. Pairing him with a veteran running back that who knows how many of those weeks will be healthy with Raheem Mostert, but I think it's just a nice pairing of a vet and a young guy to have behind McCaffrey. You still have Rodgers, Lawrence, Brady, and Burrow. It's like the top guys at quarterback. I'm kind of in that middle-ish area with Fant, Goddard, Gesicki at tight end. Receiver, Juju, DJ Chark, Cortland Sutton, Claypool, Judy. No one that really sticks out. Kind of as I said, pretty easy here. We're going Javonte Williams first. And we'll hope that Mostert gets back. After him, Juju Smith-Schuster and Cortland Sutton on the turn. So it worked out there. We'll lock in Raheem Mostert. And just, gives you a little bit more depth at the position, especially with just the more solid pieces that I feel I have with Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb on top of Robert Woods. So, pretty happy the way that one worked out. I had to hold my breath after I took Woods. Knew Gaskin and Hunt wouldn't get back, but saw that kind of pairing as an option. What do you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I was wondering when you said you wanted to pair him with somebody if you were actually looking for Melvin and just saying, Melvin might just start the year as a running back, as the starter, and then Javonte would take over and you would have that transition. I was wondering if you're going to go that route. I would have been surprised if you were, but
yeah,
that's the first thing that jumped to mind. So I like the Mostert idea a lot more than that.
Yeah, no, that was one. I scrolled down a little bit, saw he was a little further down, so I figured I had a pretty safe bet of getting him in the 7th round, but getting a nice young running back like Williams that I think really could end up being a really relevant player here in his rookie year, which you don't really see that for too many rookies in general, outside of last year, which obviously we had a bunch. But all that to be said, Raheem Mostert is the pick here. After him, DJ Chark, Melvin Gordon, Chase Claypool, Noah Fant, Jalen Waddle, and Ramjon.
Yeah, so I got a little excited that Claypool might have made it back my way. When he did get drafted between yours and then, Chark and Gordon went, I was getting excited, but lo and behold, he does get picked there. So I do want to add another wide receiver. We're looking at Jerry Jeudy. We're looking at Debo, Robbie Anderson, Brandon Cooks, Laviska Shenault, Jarvis Landry, and three interesting options. I mean, Jerry Jeudy, Debo, and Robbie Anderson, all in their own right, pretty interesting. Jerry Jeudy, maybe you can get that second-year breakout. Obviously, got concerns about the quarterback there. You got Debo, who we all know is incredibly talented, but has been getting hurt a lot. But when he plays, tends to get a lot of targets. And then Robbie Anderson, who we've both liked, had a bit of a breakout last year. I mean, he's had other good stretches, so I'm not sure if you want to call it a breakout, but had his best year for sure. So he's a good option there, probably in the middle between Jeudy and Debo. So again, I'm sitting with Davonte Adams and T. Higgins. I think I want to take an upside shot with this pick. I just don't know. Does Jerry Jeudy actually have the most upside given that quarterback situation and given Sutton's returning? I don't know that he does. He's got pretty good upside. Part of me wonders if Robbie has more. I mean, Debo could have a lot, but I think he's capped with Ayuk there and Kittle. I think I've talked myself into Robbie Anderson. When I started this, I didn't think I was going to do it, but it's going to take a while for Terrence Marshall to get into a groove. You lost Curtis Samuel. He's worked with Darnold before, which could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I don't really know. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson here. Again, no knock on Jeudy or Debo. I'm just feeling a little bit more comfortable there. I mean, and ideally, maybe Jerry or Jeudy or Debo will be back and get to me here. And I could grab 2 of the 3, but we'll see. I'm going to lock in Robbie Anderson. Debo goes immediately after, so that's not happening. James Conner goes, Aaron Rodgers, Gesicki at the start of the 8th, Kenyon Drake, and then there goes Jerry Jeudy. So things are just not falling my way at all, which is really unfortunate. So let's see here. Let's take stock. We got 3 wide receivers. We got 3 running backs. I do still need a tight end. We're looking at Goddard, Gronk, Logan Thomas, Robert Tonyan, Irv Smith, Tyler Higbee. I'm going to keep punting that. Maybe we can add Higbee there later. Wide receivers, Brandon Cooks, Laviska Shenault, Jarvis Landry, Will Fuller, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Boyd, Rashad Bateman. The running back position, we got Trey Sermon, Michael Carter, David Johnson, Damian Harris, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary. I'm kind of tempted to take an upside shot on Trey Sermon. But I don't know that I can. I think of all of these guys, I'm surprised I'm saying this, but I think Damian Harris is the one I want. Which is a shame because I'm not sure his touchdown upside with Cam there, but Trey Sermon could be in an iffy situation the entire year. So could Michael Carter, plus Carter's just on a terrible offense, most likely. David Johnson is definitely interesting with the pass catching. He's the one that gives me the most pause because he could get a lot of work in the pass catching game. In fact, I don't know if I can pass him up actually. He's going to be catching the ball. He'll probably get some touchdown opportunities. The offense ideally not as good, assuming Watson isn't playing. Where again, Damian Harris, I like Damian Harris. I liked him last year when he was playing, but again, he's just capped to a degree because he's not going to get any pass catching work. He'll get limited touchdown work, assuming Cam's a starter. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with David Johnson. I'm just going to play it safe here. I don't see a world where he's terrible unless he's just dropping off because of age. I guess we'll see. Goddard goes off the clock. There goes Damian Harris. Trevor Lawrence, Tom Brady, Trey Sermon, and Brandon Cooks. You on the clock?
All right. So a couple quarterbacks go in there. Rodgers and Brady were two guys that would have been definitely picks here. Or definitely Rodgers, but I kind of had a feeling he wouldn't have made it back. With Lawrence and Brady going off the board, that leaves just myself and team one here with players with quarterback as a need. And I still have Jalen Hurts and Matt Stafford, two guys that I'm pretty close on. I would lean Hurts, but Stafford, there's definitely more consistency there. But the coach got rushing upside. You have a lot with Hurts potential there. So what I think the plan for me here is going to be to sit on that position here for this pick, see if that other team does go. If they decide not to, then possibly look to wait a whole nother round and hope that nobody goes with their second quarterback, which isn't out of the options. But be looking at Tannehill, Matt Ryan after that, so still not horrible. So looking back to the running back and receiver position, running back, you got Michael Carter, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, A.J. Dillon, Naeem Hines, Gus Edwards. Not thrilled with a ton of those. Like Gus and Hines aren't bad, but maybe a little later. Michael Carter is the one that sticks out to me here as a good value, especially here, given that I just took two running backs back to back, but don't really have anything other than them and CMC. So we'll take a look at receiver, but Carter seems like probably the guy that would be the move here. Laviska Shenault, Jarvis Landry, Will Fuller, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Boyd, Bateman, Curtis Samuel. So some interesting players. Antonio Brown even there. Laviska is probably the guy for me here. Maybe Antonio Brown if I'm looking for receiver help. That would probably be the possibility should Team 1 not go quarterback at all. But we will see. But for this pick, it's got to be Michael Carter for me. I know no one's super high on the Jets. And history definitely gives a lot of people pause for that. But regardless, I do think that they are going to be a better team without I can't even remember the coach's name. I can only remember the butthole. The loving nickname that the Fantasy Footballers podcast have put on him. With him gone, a new coaching regimen, a lot of new players around. It's just Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman, right?
Yeah.
I guess the rookie from last year to P. Ryan.
P. Ryan, yeah, I think that's it.
So a couple there, but a running back that I wouldn't mind taking a shot on to see if he has any type of immediate impact. And just given that that's a position that I know I'm going to be needing here. So Carter will be the pick here. And Team 1 goes Joe Burrow, which is interesting. So he does go quarterback, and then Jarvis Landry. Still giving me top two guys that I like on the board, as well as two others that I'm pretty interested in. So I think we're going to play the game, Steve. We're going to gamble one more full round.
It ain't going to happen.
Knowing
both of them are going to go. That's my prediction.
Both of them, there's a good chance they do. But if Tannehill's still there, I'd be okay with that. And then, worst case scenario, Matt Ryan. I imagine at least one, if not two, will go. But that's part of the fun of a draft. You got to risk it here. And I'm looking at Laviska Shenault, a guy that I think has a lot of good upside here. Interesting. He'll be my fourth receiver and third that is a sophomore. So a lot of breakout potential in those guys. So hoping a lot for him. So we're going to go with Laviska Shenault. Get 4 running backs and 4 receivers. Be pretty solid and evened out there with Kittle. and then see what kind of quarterbacks get back here. So if not, we'll be looking to pick someone a little later and be able to stream the position. But Laviska Chenault's pick here. We have Hollywood Brown, Jalen Hurts, Tyler Boyd, Will Fuller, Rob Gronkowski, and Robert Tonyan. So one quarterback off the board, but survived all the way to you. So I feel like I got 3 little waves to get through to your first pick, to your second pick, and then to my next pick.
Yeah, we'll see. I was hoping Will Fuller actually got to me. I haven't drafted him that much this year, and I thought he would have made some sense, but it is not to be. So we'll take a look at the wide receiver position here. Again, I do want to grab another one there. We got Rashad Bateman, not really considering him. Not loving rookies. Corey Davis, I'm also not considering him. I'm just not a fan of the Jets. Curtis Samuel is very interesting with Washington. Antonio Brown is pretty interesting. They got Michael Pittman, who was interesting, and he is much less interesting now with the Wentz news. Yep. And then Mike Williams, who I like. I do think it might be a little bit too early for him, but I think Curtis Samuel's gonna be my guy. Big fan. He's worked with Rivera before. They have a need for a second, wide receiver there. He's looked good, throughout his career, really. I mean, his rookie year, I'm not sure he did anything, but he's had some good years. So I'm pretty confident with him. I would like to pick him up, especially here in the 9th round. So we're going to go ahead and add Mr. Curtis Samuel. We'll see what gets back to me. Logan Thomas goes off the board. Zach Moss. There goes Stafford. And Tannehill. Oh, man. Well,
oof. It's not looking great.
Oh, yeah, that did not work out. Logan Thomas, Zach Moss, Matt Stafford round out the 9th round. To start the 10th, we had Bateman, Tannehill, and Corey Davis. So I'm back on the clock here. Taking a look at the running back position, we got Singletary, A.J. Dillon, Nyheim Hines, Gus Edwards, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell. At wide receiver, Antonio Brown, Michael Pittman, Mike Williams, Michael Gallup, Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore. And at the tight end position, Irv Smith, Tyler Higbee, Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram, Zach Ertz. I think as much as I would like to add some of these wide receivers, Antonio Brown, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore, Ruggs.
Going to go with the second quarterback just to finish me off there.
Yes, let's see here. We have Fields, Matt Ryan, Mayfield, Cousins. I would probably pick Matt Ryan. But this is also an interesting opportunity for you to do the double up, grab Trey Lance and someone else. So We'll see how you navigate that. But I'm going to have to lock in my tight end now, I think. Higbee is the one that I want. He is the clear head and shoulders above the rest kind of a guy to me. Again, Irv is interesting, breakout candidate, but too many mouths to feed there. Hunter Henry, maybe. Again, he's got to compete with Jonnu, though. Evan Ingram, we've talked about in the past. Ertz, I don't know what to make of Ertz. He's still an Eagle for some reason. I could wait and gamble on Troutman or Komet or something like that. But I'm going to go ahead and lock in Higbee now. Pretty confident with Higbee. Liking him this year. So we'll take care of the tight end position now. There goes Deshaun Watson. I don't think you're considering him, but he is all out of the way. Irv Smith, Devin Singletary, Antonio Brown, Michael Pittman, and Michael Gallup.
I was hoping Antonio Brown would get back. That would be a good value here in the 10th round, but alas, that is not the case. So if we're looking at running backs, we got A.J. Dillon, Nyheim Hines, Gus Edwards, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell. Receiver, we got Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore, Henry Ruggs, Hardman. A lot of good kind of depth players there as well. Not really a ton of running backs. Gus Edwards, Jamal Williams, not bad kind of depth guys, so it could be the option. But gonna stop the bleeding here. We're just locking up Matt Ryan. If he had gone, I probably would have just punted completely, but still being able to get Matt Ryan here, I think he still has a good chance of being in that top 12. But at the very least, he's just a safer option, and could maybe look to draft one of those rookies a little later and have a little bit of upside with them. But we will draft Matt Ryan here first. After him goes A.J. Dillon and Nyheim Hines on the turn. So I've got my quarterback, got my tight end. We're at 4 running backs and 4 receivers, so pretty balanced at the moment here. If I'm going running back, it would be Gus Edwards. Receiver, looking at Darnell Mooney, Henry Ruggs possibly. There's, I think, more receivers that I wouldn't mind taking a shot on. So I think I'm gonna go with the running back position here and just lock in a fifth running back with Gus Edwards. Have that position nailed down with some depth there and be able to just load up on some receivers, possibly another running back, possibly a young quarterback. We'll see what happens. But Gus Edwards is the pick here in the 11th round. After him, Henry Ruggs, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, Justin Fields, Baker Mayfield, and Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, what a shame. All the wide receivers I wanted all gone.
Yep.
It's the story of the draft for me. But I'll take a look at the running back position. It's been a little while here, and I've talked about him before. Yeah, I don't remember if it was last episode or two episodes ago, so I won't say too much about him. But Kenneth Gainwell, I think, is going to be my pick. A guy that I think, in the late rounds represents some sort of upside. We were saying before that, Sanders' role isn't solidified. You'd imagine he's a starter all year long, but Gainwell definitely has some opportunity to take the pass catching role, maybe get a little bit more work in there and establish some sort of, Austin Eckler, Nyheim Hines kind of a role. So I'll take an upside shot on Gainwell. And, I think my argument was before, there's not a lot of options here that represent upside. So I'll take one of the few that do. I mean, Tony Pollard definitely has something. A little bit more than the others, but we're going to lock him in. We'll take a look at the wide receiver position probably after. Elijah Moore, Aguilar, and Hardman go to round out the 12th. Or no, the 11th. Sorry, to start the 12th, we have Tony Pollard, Evan Ingram, and Rondell Moore. So taking a look at the wide receiver position, we got Devontae Parker, T.Y. Hilton, Marvin Jones, Amon St. Brown, Russell Gage, Cole Beasley. I think, my wide receiver group, Davonte Adams, Higgins, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel. I think I want the safety / some sort of upside that Russell Gage presents. Devontae Parker, I'm just not that interested in. He could be in for a good year. Will Fuller gets hurt a lot. You got a rookie that's going to take some time. So he could be in for a good year. T.Y. Hilton, everyone's written off, and now even more so with Wentz. Marvin Jones ain't bad. St. Brown might get off to a slow start because he's a rookie. So yeah, I think Gage steps it up. We've seen a lot of fantasy relevance from him in the past with Julio there. So I think he could step into that 2 role and be pretty successful. So I am happy to add Mr. Gage here. We'll send it back to your way. We have Hilton, Parker, Jonnu Smith, Kirk Cousins, St. Brown goes, and then Zach Ertz right before your selection here.
All right, so top of the board, quarterback, you got Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, Patrick, Tua, tight end, you got Austin Hooper, Adam Troutman, Gerald Everett, Jared Cook, and Cole Kmet. Wide receiver, Marvin Jones, Cole Beasley, Gabe Davis, Jalen Rager, Terrace Marshall, and Paris Campbell. Running back, Jamal Williams, J.D. McKissick, Phillip Lindsay, Latavius Murray. So from looking running back, Jamal Williams, Phillip Lindsay, Latavius Murray probably are the really interest there. Probably we'll wait and maybe grab one of them in the next round. Wide receiver is where we're going to look here, and it's between Gabriel Davis at Buffalo and Jalen Rager from Philly. With the injury news to Devonta Smith, I don't think we mentioned that at the top, actually. He has a sprained knee and is expected to miss about 2 to 3 weeks. They're saying nothing for concern, but if you are a fan of Philly sports or you relatively know Philly sports, there's always concern whenever there's injuries because it seems like the Eagles have just downplayed injuries that have lasted and lingered longer than they should.
And even if it is just a couple weeks, I mean, this is all valuable time for a rookie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why with Jalen Rager now practicing in full, I know he missed the very beginning of camp with one of his close friends passing away. So he was kind of grieving and not in camp. But I believe yesterday was his first full day of camp. So he looks to be ready to go, maybe can take that step forward. And being able to get him here and add him to my plethora of sophomore wide receivers just seems like it makes too much sense here. And pair him in there with Robert Woods leading those young guns at wide receiver. So Jalen Reagor is the pick here. After him, Marvin Jones and Trey Lance. With Lance off the board, I mean, I guess it feasibly could have looked to Zach Wilson, but pretty much puts the kibosh on me grabbing one of the rookies as well to pair with Matt Ryan. So we're going to flip back over to the running back position here. And you got Jamal Williams. We've got Philip Lindsay. But I'm actually going to look here and go with Latavius Murray. He's a guy that I've been rising on. I think the offense is going to be pretty good. I do, and I'm sure there is maybe some limited upside when it comes to touchdowns, depending on with Kamara there, what the starting quarterback's going to be. But I feel like all signs are indicating that it is going to be Hill. And if it's Taysom Hill and they're just a run-first team, I think they're going to use 2 running backs. And sure, you could go with, the 1A, 1B of a bad football team with the Lions and Jamal Williams. Or you could look to do that with a better football team. I mean, I've been all season hype on Jamal Williams, but I think the play might actually be Latavius Murray if these late picks to get you a depth piece that actually could be valuable. So I'm going to go with Latavius Murray here and then just allow myself to have some flexibility for this final pick. So Latavius Murray is the pick here. After him, J.D. McKissick, Cole Beasley, Philip Lindsay, Jamal Williams, Chuba Hubbard, and Alexander Madison.
For once, I'm actually kind of happy how things played out here. I had my eyes on Gabriel Davis. I did not think he would get back to me, but we had a nice little running back run there.
Yeah, that helped. I was looking at him there at 12-11. So
yeah, I mean, that's he's a nice upside shot as well. Obviously a great offense. You have John Brown leaving it, so he's got the opportunity to kind of step up. So, that's an easy pick for me. I really didn't expect him to get to me, but I'm happy to go ahead and add Mr. Gabe Davis there. Wentz, Terrence Marshall, Austin Hooper go off. That round out the 13th. To start our final round, we had Tariq Cohen, Tevin Coleman, Devontae Booker go off the clock. So, looking at the running back position, we're looking at Rashad Penny, Javian Hawkins, Darrington Evans, Left Bell, James White, Sony, Darrell Williams. I mean, there's not a lot of upside here. Maybe you grab Javian Hawkins and see, what you got in him and see if he can grab himself a role. Maybe Elijah Mitchell and San Fran surprises. Part of me wouldn't mind taking another tight end shot, adding an Adam Troutman with, Michael Thomas out for a while. Maybe he is the top pass catching option, at least for the few opening weeks. So that would be really interesting. And then wide receivers we're looking at, we got Paris Campbell, not interesting. Christian Kirk's not bad. Crowder's not bad. Kadarius Toney, if you want to take an upside shot on, him. Sterling Shepard, Traquan Smith, another candidate to fill in and become that number 1 target role with Michael Thomas out. Jacoby Myers could be taking over for the Patriots. Emmanuel Sanders competing with Gabe Davis. John Brown filling in for Aguilar. So there's definitely plenty of good wide receiver options here, which to me, I look and say, well, there'll be plenty of options on the waiver wire after week 1. So I am going to go ahead and go that tight end route. I'm going to add Adam Troutman. Yeah, again, a lot of confidence in Higbee. I'd be more thrilled about doing this if I had like an Irv Smith, but the Michael Thomas injury, I think, opens up an option like this when you go later tight end to just grab 2 and see what Troutman does those first few weeks. So I'll gladly add him. If it doesn't work out, again, there's plenty of wide receivers I think I'd be happy with on the waiver wire after that first week. So we've locked him in with my last pick, Christian Kirk, Paris Campbell, Toney, Hawkins, Everett, and Tua go off the board before your final pick.
Yeah, Tua is going to be an interesting one there as well to see if I can just kind of put on the bottom of the roster there with Matt Ryan. Not really a ton at the running back position, so happy that I took a few in the last couple rounds. Comes down here to me to go with my guy Brian Edwards that I've been grabbing at the end of drafts and seeing what we got the first few weeks, or pivoting and going to that rookie quarterback position and doubling down on quarterback, something that we don't do often. It would be pretty poetic, you doubling on tight end at round 10 and 14 and me doubling at quarterback in round 10 and 14 here. So think it's going to be the move. I mean, we definitely have a long training camp ahead with Zach Wilson, just got there. But I do think he's a talented quarterback. There's, he's going to play early. I mean, there's the thought that maybe Justin Fields gets in. You get the thought that possibly Trey Lance starts right away. But we know it's Trevor Lawrence, and we know it's Zach Wilson. So it's going to be a guy that we see early. If he struggles and isn't looking great, he's an easy cut. But if he comes out and looks good, you got him on your roster, and you save a few bucks when it comes to the waivers. So easy pick here. We're going to go Zach Wilson, and the last pick after that is Jared Cook.
Okay, so we can go ahead and run down our teams here. I'll go ahead and start again, drafting out of the 9th spot. We got Pat Mahomes at the quarterback position. For running backs, we got David Montgomery, Darrell Henderson, Kareem Hunt, David Johnson, and Kenneth Gainwell. For wide receivers, Davonte Adams, T. Higgins, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, Russell Gage, Gabe Davis, and then at tight end, Higbee and Troutman. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it either. I'm not very confident in having like Higgins and Robbie as kind of like my second and third wide receiver. At the same time, I'm also not super comfortable with the running back group. Obviously I can look at this team and tell a story. Like it makes sense. I can see it being a good team. But I could see it either and just ending up in the middle or being absolute garbage as well. So, no real surprise. The Patrick Mahomes pick really throws everything off. If I start, running back, wide receiver, running back, I think things fall a little bit differently. Instead of grabbing Henderson, maybe I grab McLaurin or, Amari Cooper or someone like that. That gives me some more confidence there in the wide receiver group. And, things from there just fall a little bit differently. But, I also got unlucky where, a lot of my picks in those middle rounds, I was getting sniped. Ayuk before the Higgins pick, Debo and Judy going. Things just didn't fall my way for a big chunk of it. And that's part of it. But, when you draft quarterback early, at least for me, I tend not to be super thrilled with the results. I remember having one last year that I actually liked, but I think I was more around your area and I got somebody that fell. So depends on where you draft. It's not bad. Probably ends up in the middle somewhere. But a fun exercise. How about your team, Will?
Yeah, pretty happy overall. So we'll run through. I've got Matt Ryan and Zach Wilson at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Williams, Javonte Williams, Raheem Mostert, Michael Carter, Gus Edwards, and Latavius Murray at running back, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Robert Woods, Laviska Shenault, and Jalen Reagor at wide receiver, and then George Kittle at tight end. Overall, pretty happy with the team. Probably would have, rather liked to go with Hurts or Stafford there in the 9th round instead of Shenault, and then being able to come back and get Antonio Brown, Henry Ruggs, Darnell Mooney there. So maybe the only really regret there, then I wouldn't have likely taken a young quarterback in the next round. But yeah, overall pretty happy with the team. Definitely think the running back position fell my way and definitely could have gone much worse, going McCaffrey and then waiting to the 6th round to get another running back. Really lucked out with those next 3 picks there with Williams, Mostert, and Carter. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with the team.
Yeah, and I guess we talked about Team 11. We can follow up on them. So they went more 0 RB. So it was Kelsey, Hopkins, Julio, Josh Allen, Kenny Galladay, and Devontae Johnson. Then they went James Conner, Kenyon Drake, Zach Moss. And then the last running back they got was Coleman. So that was kind of their 0 RB approach. It's not bad. I'd probably swap Kenyon Drake for David Johnson or Damian Harris. But yeah, it's not terrible.
No, I mean, I think you could do worse with 0 RB and just the core that they have, right? Josh Allen and Kelsey, you're loaded at those 2 single positions on top of DeAndre, Julio, Galladay, and Deontay Johnson. So in all likelihood, at least 3 of those receivers hit, maybe all 4. So he could be in good shape other than that.
Yeah, and you don't need amazing running backs after that. As long as they're not terrible, they should be fine. So, yeah, interesting look back on that team. But that is going to wrap up today's episode. Again, tune in next week for another mock draft. Until then, trust your board.